So to recap, a few simple guidelines for our rally. No nudity, no throwing stuff, and no totalitarian fascism. The guidelines are basically this. When in doubt, don't be douchey. Yes.
Funny.
Very similar, I believe, Martin.
How did this idea come about, the rally? Did it spark you one day?
Yeah, well, you know, we've been trying to think about a way to sort of encapsulate how to do it. And then when you know, rallies became sort of the in thing for the news to talk about, we thought, well, that's the perfect format for us to do our shtick.
President Obama's elected. A new wave is coming in America.
Yeah. When is that, by the way? Does anyone know when that's scheduled?
Well,
the new wave?
He's on your show, October 27th.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. A sitting president is coming to Comedy Central.
Slumming. Yes.
What do you make of that?
It really shows what's happened to the majesty of the office, doesn't it? The Oval Office. It used to be the bully pulpit. Now it's just another pulpit.
Are you excited?
I think we're excited. I think you're always a little, those days are always very distracting. You know, the last we had on Pervez Musharraf when he was the leader of Pakistan, and all the tumult around it. There's snipers on the sea, you know, and there's guys with AK-47s in the hallway, and they bring in the bomb-sniffing dogs, and you know my staff. The dogs don't just sniff bombs, so everybody, you know, that day it's like, all right, everybody, everybody's contraband out. And they set up a Kevlar front to my desk. Because we have 200 people in the audience.
I know, I've been on your show.
And they have, is that true? How were you on it? Were you good?
I was very good. You fell off the chair laughing.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Oh, and I wouldn't fake that.
No. Are you telling me you faked that?
No, I'm just kidding. You were great. You're always good. Your stories, people don't realize this. In the commercial breaks are the most interesting about this. Your life is so much more interesting than mine. As soon as we go to commercial break, I'm throwing out Martin Mull jokes. He's giving me a porta potty. As soon as we go to commercial break, so I interviewed George Wallace. You know, it was right after the Martin Luther King rally. I have a dream. And I'm like, wait, why didn't we talk about that? Why are you asking Schmucky for stories? You got it all in your head. What are we talking about? Pervez Musharraf?
Oh, yeah.
They set up a Kevlar front to the desk. So I said there were two guys at Pakistani Secret Service. I said, what is that for exactly? And they said, well, if anyone does get a weapon in here and they make a move, we will dive on the president and put him below the Kevlar. And I said, you know, I'm going to be actually also sitting out there. And the guy, he gets real quiet and he goes, you should duck. What?
This whole mess, and it is a mess in many areas.
Sure.
Why did it is it Obama's failure to...
Well, I don't know that he did not arrive in a pristine environment and throw mud on the walls. I think it's hard to unravel. I think the difficulty of the mess is that the problem-solving apparatus is not really rewarded for pragmatic solutions. It's rewarded to keep sort of very entrenched interests that occupy Washington afloat.
Well, what happens to the rest of us?
Well, they assume that we're busy, and they assume that we're not going to notice, that their shenanigans will occur in a kind of haze. That's why it's important to have a media that's tenaciously clarifying these issues for people, as it does so well.
You don't think we do well?
Oh, the worst. Not you. You're great.
You're talking about
the media in general, you said it yourself. It's focused on conflict. It's focused on creating drama and a false sense of urgency. For better or for worse, the 24-hour networks are now the leading light of our information age. They're the ones that kind of drive the dialogue.
Is this better or worse than, say, the Edward R. Murrow days? Truth, because we get more information out of it.
I don't know how old you think I am.
You don't know Edward R. Murrow?
I know him. I know of him. I've seen him on cinescopes. But I was not alive, Larry, to compare and contrast. I do know this. We have a false sense of nostalgia about the country that was. It feels to me like the right wants to take us back to a time in America that never really existed, and the left wants us to advance to a utopian environment where no one can say anything about anybody. It'd be sort of this weird, where we're all just worried about the fragility of stepping on each other's toes.
Where's the middle in all of this?
The middle is at the rally to restore sanity, Larry.
We'll ask.
I'm not even sure which camera.
I bet you're dying to know what he
Well, yeah, Edward R. Murrow, what are you doing? How does this compare to Hoover's Day?
This is London.
I'm sure it's bad.
Well, all right, let me help you.
All right.
He was pretty good.
He seemed damn good.
Yeah, he damn good. He had a nice voice.
But would you
stands.
disagree? You're the guy that's been around. Would you agree that we have created and rewarded a false sense of urgency within the news, and that the people who get the jobs and the people whose voices are heard are the ones who will say the most extreme
You
things?
speak the loudest, you get on.
That's
correct.
right. That's what the bookers do.
But Murrow didn't. That's what I'm just telling you.
I will take your word for it.
Just look at the Joe McCarthy special. Okay.
Yeah.
Just get the special. It's in the archives.
I've seen the special.
Okay, well.
He seemed good then. But I don't know if right after that he did a whole steroids and baseball thing. I don't know. What the hell do I know?
We'll ask John what he thinks of Christine O'Donnell and the First Amendment right after this.
You're about...
We're back with Jon Stewart, The Daily Show, the book Earth. We'll talk about that in a little while.
Sure.
Number one, New York Times. Big rally in Washington, day before Halloween. What do you make of the lady in Delaware?
The lady in Delaware?
Miss O'Donnell.
Christine O'Donnell? Like I say, this is the year. It doesn't look like she's going to be victorious, but I also think, you know, the idea that she said some things on television 20 years ago, and that's evidence that she is somehow off balance, you know, again.
You don't buy that.
Well, I also think it's like everything else. You focus on the wrong thing. For me, that should be great. Comedic fodder, witchcraft, masturbation. For God's sakes, that's my house. That's where I live. I'm nothing if not a masturbating warlock. But in terms of the political press, to focus on, I mean, I was on TV, I was on MTV 20 years ago. God forbid anybody find those tapes and hold that against me. I mean, it's astonishing to me where we put our focus and what we delve into.
But it was
and
Bill Maher, who's a sophisticated, modern, hip guy who brought that to the forefront.
Well, he's just trying to get her to come on the show so he can have a conversation with her.
Yeah.
That's bait. That's O'Donnell bait. I don't think he takes seriously. I don't think Bill Maher he'd be the first person probably to tell you, like, he doesn't think the masturbation thing really would preclude her from
What do you
being
make
in
of the
office.
lady in Nevada?
Every time you say it's all so mysterious. There's a lady in Nevada.
I got her
standing at a corner wearing a trench coat. I think Sharon Angle is an example of just how desperate people must be to remove Democrats from office. That they would listen to her positions and the things that she says and go, that's for me. I think that's got more to do with them going, Harry Reid, seriously, dude?
Where did Harry... he's the top Democrat in the Senate.
Yes.
He got a health bill. He got a health bill passed.
Yeah, but I think the issue is not that they seem to feel that legislative accomplishment in and of itself is reason for re-election. I think a lot of people feel like they are layering hit-or-miss reforms on top of an infrastructure that is somewhat corroded. I think people felt like this was an opportunity to root out years of rust and degradation in a system, not just layer it with all kinds of other...
They were supposed to do it in 2 years?
They were not supposed to do it in 2 years, but I think within 2 years, they could have laid out an illuminating path that showed that they were on a road to understanding what the issues were that people were concerned about. And also, to be fair, they have faced a relentless campaign of hyperbole that they are tyrannical socialists bent on the homosexualization of the gayness of turning this country into gay Germany.
While being Muslim.
While being Muslim. So, again, but with that stated, if they had given people, I think, a much clearer impression of what was important to them and what they thought the real issues were, rather than just this kind of, there's an incoherence to what they say. I always say, you know, with Republicans, they never have to prove that they love this country. Democrats always seem to have to prove to America that they love America. Republicans love America. They just seem to hate about 50% of the people who live in it. Democrats, you know, for their thing, it's always, they love this country. They just somehow wish it were a different country. You know, with Democrats, they're always like, you know, America is the greatest country in the world. Have you seen Finland's healthcare system? You get back rubs at work.
I mentioned to you.
You're surrounded by sandwiches.
I saw Senator Harry Reid at Nate Now's Deli the other week.
You saw Senator Harry Reid at Nate Now's Deli, and I happened to say to you, was he applying for a job? That's all I said.
That's all you said.
All I was concerned about was, is he okay? Is he worried? Was he worried?
Yeah.
He does seem worried. He should be worried.
He's slightly ahead.
See, even that, Larry. How are things going, Harry? I'm slightly ahead. That's nice. Goodbye, Grandpa.
We'll be back with more of Jon Stewart after this.